In this episode, we're going to take a look at the brand new large-scale Batmobile for adults. And this is not the 1989 one that we had before, which was pretty amazing. This one is from Batman Returns, and it's got a hidden secret waiting inside. These are just the things that I've noticed, both the good and not so good from the early access images that I received. And I'm going to break down everything you need to know before you buy LEGO's newest Batmobile. Now, I own the original 1989 LEGO version. I did build it, and it might be one of my favorite sets of all time. This new one is not technically the same car. It is being marketed as the Batman Returns Batmobile, and we can actually see that right on the box. But as we look at the front of the car, this is where I think things look the best. We've got the turbine right in the middle and a couple of yellow lights on both sides, which looks great. I do think that the front profile looks very good. The proportions of the windshield might be a little bit off, but I think it's passable. What I really like is that the 1989 version had those exposed studs in the front left and right portions, and this one is actually smooth, so this has been a nice upgrade. On the side, we do have the exposed pipework, and that area looks okay. It's not amazing, but I think it's just okay. I think it's good enough to get the job done. I'm going to compare this with a very expensive model car that goes for hundreds of dollars, but as we can see here, the rear wheels are larger than the front ones, and I do remember them being larger in the back for the 1989 LEGO Batmobile version, so as we can see here, yeah, they're a little bit too small in the new one. As we make our way to the back of the vehicle, I'm going to definitely have some criticisms here. First of all, the back of the car doesn't fan out as much as the actual one does. It seems a little tighter. And on the back fins, there's some design work along the sides that are mimicking the curvature of what we have in the real thing. And so the back of the car does look pretty good, but the sides of those fins, I'm going to honestly say they're not looking that great. I think the 1989 version did a better job here, even though that kind of had similar issues there, but comparing the two, the older one that we had definitely looked better. I think maybe because the scale was downsized, we may have lost a little detail in translation. Okay, now this is the part that I'm looking forward to the most, as I'm sure a lot of you are as well. We have a mechanism hidden in the back of the vehicle that when you push it down, it's going to pop out the two sides of the Batmobile, transforming it into the Bat Missile. And that's exactly what we would expect. I mean, that's what we had in the Batman Returns movie, and I vividly remember that. I thought that was so cool when I was younger. Zooming in, I do see a couple of pegs that are going to connect into the sides, and when we push that button in the back, yeah, it's going to pop these out. And looking at the side pieces themselves, they actually look pretty solid, and they look rather detailed for being the sides of a car that are just going to kind of go off to the side. Putting the Bat Missile up against the very expensive model version, which runs over $600, which is pretty crazy, I think LEGO did a really good job here. It's got the likeness down, so kudos to the design department. This is the first time we've ever seen the Bat Missile in official LEGO form. I do think that this Bat Missile looks pretty excellent. I'm personally happy with this. The details on the sides, I mean, look at this. We have these mechanisms over the hubcaps. Those look great. And overall, it's matching what we see in that model pretty closely. One thing that I am wondering about, though, is what we're going to do with those side pieces when they pop off. As we can see here, the Bat Missile does display very nicely up on a shelf, but yeah, I guess we'll have to put them over to the side somewhere, and hopefully we don't lose one of them. They are rather large, though, so I don't think it'll be too big of a deal. When I was first looking through the images, I thought that we were going to be losing the machine guns that pop up out of the sides, and thankfully I was wrong about that. So thankfully we're not losing that piece of detail. I really thought that we were, because we're getting this new functionality of everything splitting off, but it is cool to see these here. As we have a sneak peek at the inside of the cockpit, there's not too much to see here. There is the Penguin on the screen kind of taunting Batman. That does bring one issue to the set that we're going to talk about next, but basically all I see here is just a steering wheel and a little screen. The 1989 one was fairly more detailed. Now, speaking of the Penguin, this is kind of where the set falls short. Inside this box, we're going to only get one minifigure. We did have three with the 1989 version, including the Joker, and that had a bigger display stand as well. Since the Penguin is on that monitor, it would have been cool to see him included in minifig form. So that's one area that the set is going to fall a little short. It does sting a little more when you look at the price difference between the two, which we'll get into here in a second, but the Batman that we do get is on a very simple little nameplate. Now, I'm not familiar with every single Batman minifig, I don't go into that depth on this channel, but I don't recall seeing one like this. What's cool about this one is that it does have his rubber cape, and it may not be made out of actual rubber, but it looks just like it does in the movie. And a fun fact for those 2 movies with Michael Keaton, that suit was so thick and so heavy that he couldn't turn his head. So he had this awkward side-to-side move to kind of look around, and so it's kind of neat to see that type of bat suit here included. The scowl on his face kind of tells the story. In terms of stickers, coming back to that nameplate, I originally thought that it was printed, but zooming into it, I think I can see the edges of a sticker, and I could be wrong there, but that is a bit of a bummer. Looking at the rest of the set, it does look like that the Batman logo hubcaps on the wheels might also be stickers, and I do see a couple more on the sides. I will say that with the windshield, I really hope that one is not a sticker. That would be a pretty huge pain to apply. And even though I personally don't mind applying stickers, that one I definitely would not look forward to. So hopefully that one is a print, but overall the sticker load doesn't seem to be super high. If I were to guesstimate, we're looking at roughly a dozen here. And that's not too bad. The hubcaps might be kind of hard to center, so if you're not a fan of stickers, this is something good for you to know. In terms of the build experience, from what I see here, we're going to have a lot of black pieces, that's for sure. That can sometimes get a little monotonous, but I think it will be a different experience from the 1989 version, just because we're building those 2 side portions, and of course we have the Bat Missile. I am really looking forward to seeing how it's going to split apart in the build itself. When I first got my eyes on this, I was pretty surprised that the scale is shrunken down just a little bit. I guess one of the benefits is that it'll fit a little easier on a shelf, especially if you want to show it next to some other Batman props. But looking at these images, it doesn't look too small. It kind of seems just right. And I've got to say that I think I'm pretty happy with that. Speaking of when I first saw it, I was disappointed that we do have studs showing on some portions of the car, and I do wish it was a little sleeker. But looking at the 1989 version, I don't remember this, but that one has exposed studs as well. So in real time, my argument is kind of collapsing on itself, and that's a good thing. But if you are looking for complete accuracy, I don't think you're going to really find it here, but the overall vibe is definitely there. Early access for LEGO Insiders opens up on the 1st of September, and everyone else can pick this up on the 4th. It's going to be $230 for over 2,000 pieces, and now the original retailed for $250, and that was for over 3,000 pieces. But yeah, from a pricing perspective, I think it's relatively fair. It's not amazingly priced, and it's not like way overpriced. Maybe if it was like $30 to $50 cheaper, that might be a little more realistic, but since the original 1989 one is retired, at least for those that didn't get a chance to build it, you have another chance now. But let me know what you think, especially those of you that have built the original. Do you like this smaller scale version? And what do you think could be better on it? And if you missed the 1989 version, would you want to grab this one instead? But anyways, as always, thanks for checking out this set with me, and until next time, I'll catch you in the next one.